Welcome to the Root of Power podcast, where I teach you how to chase your joy, find alignment, and create a life and a business that you love, using actionable methods, interviews, and inspiring stories from people who know that true freedom is found within. I'm your host, your always hype woman and sometimes ass kicker, Amanda Chills, and I am so proud of you for choosing to step into your power. Come along, we've got dreams to build. Hello. So funny story. This is actually the second time that I'm recording this podcast because last time I recorded the whole episode, went to listen to it so that I could write the show notes, and none of the sound recorded. So we are on take 2. I normally, I don't script out the podcast. I just write out bullet notes and then I talk. So apparently the universe was like, nah, bitch, that's not good enough. So we're going to do it again. So here we are, take 2 for the podcast. And hi, I would say welcome to 2024, but you're already here. I hope that your year has been so far so good. And if it hasn't been good, that it turns around soon. As always, thank you for being here. If this is your first time, hello. And if this is your second or 100th time, hello. I love that you are here. If this show is at all useful for you, please consider leaving a 5-star review, which helps it get in front of more people, so that more people get support. So let's party. So let's recap the year. I love these because I'm an intensely nosy person. It's one of the reasons that I'm a therapist, because people pay me to learn everything about them. It's honestly awesome. I'm like, yes, tell me everything about you, especially the things you don't tell anyone else. It's so great. It's like one of my favorite things. So here's a recap of 2023 and what the heck I'm planning for 2024. If you're also a nosy bitch like me, welcome, join my club. So I did over 900 therapy sessions, which is actually low for me. I usually do over 1,000, but I traveled a lot last year. Much more traveling than is normal for me. And I'll get into that in a second. So over 900 therapy sessions. Love that. Oh, so I love what I do. It's so fun. I did 5 workshops, a few for the city of Bisco, which is a little town near me. And a couple that were just offered on Instagram for anyone to join. I may or may not do more of those this year. Haven't decided yet. I'm leaning towards no, but perhaps inspiration will strike and I'll do one. I think I launched Boundaries Baddie. So here's the thing about my brain. Timeline doesn't really exist to me. So everything is like the other day, but the other day could be, yesterday, or it could be 12 years ago. And my specific brand of neurospicy ADHD just doesn't put things in a timeline. So all the time, it's a normal thing for people to be like, oh, when did that happen? And I'll be like, I have no idea. My brain doesn't exist in time. So I literally can't tell you when that happened. I don't remember. I know that it happened. I cannot put it in a timeline for you. So that's just how my brain works. So I think I launched Boundaries Baddie, but also perhaps I did that in 2022. I don't really know. But Boundaries Baddies is my course on how to set boundaries with a baddie energy, but also keeping a cinnamon roll heart, because there's no need to be an asshole. And that's not enjoyable. So I don't teach it that way. I just teach how to set boundaries that feel good, protect your time, peace, space, energy, and be a lot happier, because people who set boundaries are happier, big facts. I traveled a lot. Okay, so I always thought that I was a travel girly, and that in another life, one of my alter egos would be a travel blogger, who, by the way, those people have some of the coolest jobs. They literally get paid to travel around the world and review hotels and restaurants. That's so cool. That's amazing. Turns out I don't really like traveling that much. Let me rephrase that. I love being in a different place. I don't love all the logistics that come with traveling and then having to re-up my routine once I get home. So it turns out that I just love being at home. And I was like, oh, I'm definitely going to do a big trip multiple times a year. A bitch ain't. I'm not. I thought that I was a travel girly, and I'm just not. Turns out I'm a homebody. So I have so we went on a lot of trips. I went to Florida multiple times for a wedding, for a funeral, for trainings. Lots of trips to Florida. I think I went to Florida like 5 times last year. Now I'm also from Florida, so you know, hence the wedding and funeral and things like that, and then some trainings. I went to Texas for a mastermind retreat. Like that was super fun with Sabrina Phillip. We love her. Working with her again this year, so that's super exciting. I went to Austin. I've never been to Austin. What a cool town. I called Cinnamon Roll, as I call him, every day. And I was like, we have to come to Austin. Like, this town is dope. And he was like, okay, because he says yes whenever I want to go somewhere, because he's a smart man. I went to Ireland with my mom. That was cool. So I found some really cheap plane tickets. It was for round trip, it was under $600. And I found a hotel that was like $100 a night. And then I forgot to tell the hotel that my mom was coming. So they had me in like the world's tiniest room. And so I got there and I was like checking in, and they were like, oh, for one. And I was like, oh, I forgot to tell you my mom is coming. Because I had originally planned to go by myself because cheap tickets, why not? And I like traveling alone. It's a thing that I enjoy doing. And so my mom found out I was going because I told my sister and she was telling my mom. And my mom was like, well, I want to go to Ireland. And I'm like, cool, book a ticket. And she's like, I want to go. And I'm like, right, I heard you, book a ticket, mom. And then she was like, well, I want to go with you. And I'm like, well, I don't want anyone to go. I wasn't intending anyone to go with me. And she's like, I want you to want me to go. And I'm like, but I don't care if you go. I'm happy to go alone. And that was not the right answer. So I was like, Mom, do you want to come to Ireland with me? And she was like, I would love to. And I was like, let me get you a ticket. So so my mom came with me to Ireland. It was super cute. We stayed like a block and a half from this like really amazing cafe, which I would 100% stay in the hotel that we stayed in again. It's called the Wren's Nest, and it is in Dublin. So we spent we spent the entire trip in Dublin. Honestly, if I were to go back, I would do more, but my mom is older, so there's like some limitations with like activity and things like that. I went to Florence, Italy with my sister in April. That feels like a lifetime ago, but was so fun. So I am someone like, listen, I have an alter ego who absolutely lives in Tuscany, in the Tuscany region of of Italy, and regularly goes to Florence. Like that alter ego is probably an art historian. She lives on a vineyard. She also has a farm, obviously. And she wears like a lot of linen and makes pasta from scratch. So that trip was super fun. And it came about because I was talking to my cousin and she was like, oh, hey, we're going to Italy in the first week of April. I think this was like January, maybe when we were talking. In the first week of April for my birthday and my dad's birthday. And I was like, oh my God, fun. Like, I actually have that whole week off. Like, maybe I'll just meet you in Italy. And she was like, okay, well, come. And I was like, say less. So I found tickets and booked the whole trip and talked to my sister and she went with me. And I think that's like that's the first time we've ever taken a trip that long together. And it's the first time we took an international trip together. And I really thought that I was going to like kill her. But I didn't. And we're all really proud of me for that. And the trip was so fun. So I like planned the whole thing and we did all the touristy things. We did tons of museums and we ate a Florentine steak and we met up with my cousin and her family and it was so, so fun. And I just basked in the Florence glow and it was amazing. And it was just so fun. So if you are thinking about any town in Italy, hands down, I recommend Florence. It has a magic all its own. I also went to Cuba with my dad. And so my dad is from Cuba. He came here to the US in 1980 and he hadn't been home since he came to the US. So I got to experience Cuba, which was life-changing and enlightening. And I got to experience Cuba with my dad the first time he went back. And that was wild. He was like so excited. He was like a kid on Christmas. He like had, oh my God, y'all, we flew at like 7 a.m. And he had his little backpack waiting downstairs for the shuttle at 4 a.m. Okay, 4 a.m. He's like, we're getting up and we're taking the first shuttle. And I'm like, that is zero kinds of necessary because we flew out of Raleigh to Miami. you don't need to be at the Raleigh airport 3 hours early. But he was like, we're not missing this flight. And I was like, okay, fine. Fine. So he told everyone that he was going back to Cuba after he hadn't been there in 50 years. And it was wild. The only person he had ever seen there was his older sister. And then so all of her family, nieces, nephews, everybody was there. And it was just totally bananas. And, when you come back from a trip, people are like, oh, how was it? Like, was it so great? Was it so interesting? And I was like, the only thing I can really say is that it was like enlightening. It was very interesting to see what happens as a result of like intentional government neglect. And like the way that they live, like just imagine everything here is different. Like they don't sell, for example, like really, they don't really sell refrigerated meat at the grocery store. They have rolling power blackouts. Their power is just like literally like a string attached to their house. And they like self-wire their things. His family, who we were staying with, like doesn't have running water. So they have like a pipe that pipes into the house, but there's no like piping throughout the house. So they like wow, it was just a lot. But it was, wonderful. Like the family was so sweet. They're so kind. They were so, so, so excited to see my dad. It was precious. I really think he went down just to annoy his sister. And he succeeded in like annoying her the entire time. And she was so cute. And she like, so I speak some Spanish, right? I can catch about like 50%. I can follow pretty well. I get the gist of what people are saying, but I miss probably about 40%, 50% of words. And so I was sitting there and like people would talk and I'm like, oh yeah, like I kind of get the gist of what they're saying. I catch some words here or there. And then I was like, this must be what people with dementia feel like. Like they're catching some of it. They kind of get the gist, but they don't really know what people are saying. And his sister had like no idea that I was lost sometimes. So she would just talk. She was just so fucking cute. And I was like, you're precious. Come in my pocket. We loved that. And so then, my mind got to like hearing Spanish 24/7 because a lot of them didn't really speak English. And so when I came home, it took me like 2 days to adjust back to English. And I was like, that's so interesting. So that was really cool. And pretty bananas. The other thing is we started the process to build the house. So that's cool. So we got the property surveyed. Turns out we have to like split the property because we're not allowed to have more than 2 like residences on it. And our farm is 50 acres. So pretty big. So we had to do that. And I started the process for like getting a loan. And I decided that, it's going to be easy and we're going to be on time and we're going to be under budget. So I just decided those things and I will hear nothing to the contrary. And I ordered some doors that I'm really excited about. So like adulting, I ordered doors. And turns out, Cinnamon Roll and I have really similar tastes. So like it's stressful building a house and deciding the aesthetic and things like that. And like he doesn't really like comment on my house. Like he doesn't make a lot of comments in general. Like he's just not a commenting guy unless it's about food, which he has a lot of opinions about. So I'm not really sure if he likes my style, and his place is not super decorated. You know how men do. And so I was like, oh, like I don't even know what his style is or if ours will mesh. But now every time I send him something, he's like, yes, 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 yes. Like 90% of the time it's yes. And there's like that random no. And I'm like, oh, fine, I guess sometimes I'll give in to you, like rude. So that's been really cool. Turns out he and I have a really similar style. So that's exciting. So I got the plans done. Oh, it's so cool. So yeah, so we'll be doing that this year. We'll be building the house. Last year was planning to build the house. I established the coaching business as an LLC. So it's called Lighthouse Energy. I was kind of playing with it under the practice for a long time, but it really needed to be its own separate entity. So now it is very cool. And it's called Lighthouse Energy because there's a thing that I noticed about my clients is that once they like embody the shift that happens when you heal unresolved trauma, people are just like attracted to their energy. And there's a reason for that. One, their energy is calm, it's grounding, it feels safe because it's accepting and because they've done the work. Like when people go through hell and come out singing, like it just creates a different type of energy, right? So they would start telling me like, these people come up to me and they say like, I feel so safe around you. You're so calming. And I'm like, yeah, that's because you have lighthouse energy. And then I was like, oh, that's actually really brilliant. So I called it Lighthouse Energy. And like, it's a whole new LLC. And so Exhale and Release will be under that. All of the coaching programs will be under that. And it's just a whole vibe. I discovered RRT last year. So I was working with a woman named Andrea Crowder, who is phenomenal. Love her. And I watched her do some like hoodoo magic RRT on someone. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And she was like, oh, it's called rapid resolution therapy. And I was like, sign a bitch up, say less. So I started that. I think last year I did about 120 hours, like of scheduled studying. So I went through their programs, got certified. I'm working on becoming, whatever the thing, a specialist is what they call it. So you have to do 250 hours, I believe, for that. And I've done about 50 more hours of self-study. And RRT has changed the fucking game. I was effective before, but RRT is like pouring gas on a fire. Like I am just a much more effective therapist. I can clear unresolved trauma so much faster, heal anxiety so much faster. Like, it's like putting a jetpack on a bird and being like, now you can go at the speed of light. It is awesome. I started Exhale and Release. So that is a program that really like kind of dropped in for months and months and months. It's taken my whole life to build the program essentially, because it's a lifetime of work. I don't know how to say it other than that. It is just a lifetime of work. And the program is going to be so good. So we actually launched it in about a month. So if you're interested in that, get on the wait list. It's delivered via a private podcast feed. There will also be videos people can watch with captions if you're like not an auditory learner, and I'll be having it transcribed as well. But the most powerful way to do it is to listen via audio, even if you're not an auditory learner, quote unquote. It's still going to be the most impactful way. So that launches in about a month. Super fun. I worked with two coaches that I really love. Again, Andrea Crowder and Sabrina Phillip. I'm reworking with Sabrina this year. Andrea isn't offering a year-long container, which makes me so sad because I would join if she was. But Sabrina is. So like super stoked, just signed on with her for the year. And like, oh my God, they're just such intelligent women. Life hack, y'all. Learn from people smarter than you. Like, you want results faster? That's the way to do it, is like pay experts for their knowledge. Steal their 10,000 hours. Like it is so, so, so worth it. So that's kind of the recap of 2023. The practice is great. Life is very, very good. So plans for this year. So I pick a word for the year every year. I think it's fun and I think it's helpful. And when I think something is fun and helpful, I do it. So I couldn't pick, I guess I could have picked just one. My overall word is build. So think build the practice, build the programs, build the coaching business, build up my team, build up our clients, build a presence online, build a content bank, build systems, build the house, build, right? So that's the overall word for the year. And then for each kind of section of life, I chose a different word. So for my personal life, I chose committed. For the practice, the therapy practice, I chose nurture. And for Lighthouse, I chose intentional. So that feels super good. If you have not picked a word for the year before, I highly encourage you to do it. It's just a fun exercise. Not that you have to do anything, right? But it's a fun exercise. So plans for this year. I'm going down to Florida in about a week or so. Oh shit, like a week. I'll be in Florida in about a week for another RRT training, which will probably feel like drinking from a fire hose for 3 days. But pretty excited about that. So training in person with Dr. Connolly, the founder of RRT in Delray Beach, Florida. Like, it'd be a worse place. You know what I mean? So that's exciting. We love that for me. And I'm going on a cruise with my family and sweet darling Angel Cinnamon Roll to Belize, Honduras, and Mexico. So I'm pretty stoked about that. I haven't been on a cruise since I was 14, and I'm pretty sure I slept the whole time while I was on a cruise. I'm someone who like loves to sleep on vacation. So I am not one of those people who's like, pack everything in. I'm like, nah, bitch, we're sleeping. Love sleeping. amazing, which is so funny because Cinnamon Roll was like, I might just sleep while you're doing excursions. I'm like, no, but obviously he can do whatever he wants. But it's so much more fun if he does whatever I want, right? So we're going on that cruise in April. And I'm also going to Costa Rica with my friend Jess, who hosts adventure trips. Like, that's super fun. So I'll be in Costa Rica at the end of April. Yes, please. And then I'm thinking of doing a retreat in Bali, but that planning is kind of a lot. So I might do it this year. I might do it next year. I would be willing to bet that the woman I'm wanting to do the retreat under will also do one next year. So it might be next year that I do that. I intend to get this year my RRT specialist certification. So I think I've got about 100 hours left and I can definitely hit that. So that'll be super fun. That'll be very cool. I will be launching a journal for sure. I'll be launching Exhale and Release. Obviously, we're launching that in about a month and I plan to live launch it. So the only way to join is to get on the wait list. Well, you don't have to join the wait list, but the only way to join is to join during the launch periods. So the wait list gets the discount. If you're not on the wait list, you don't get the discount. So get on the wait list. Even if you're like, well, I'm kind of like 30% interested, makes more sense to get on the wait list so that you get the discount. I'll be launching a journal. I think I said that one already. That's going to be super dope. So think like the shadow work journal, but some of the information in there is incorrect and worded in an unhelpful way. So we're going to fix that and launch a journal to do shadow work, to do healing, release type work. I'll be launching a course on creating a like grounded morning, a good morning. I think I might actually call it good morning. Because that's kind of cute and fun. And I'll be bringing on another therapist. So I'm just waiting on her to like take the test and for the license. So the licensing board can say like, yep, you're good to go. And then we'll be bringing her on. And that's pretty exciting. We're going to be building the house this year, which is so fun. So I saw a psychic about a week or so ago. And she said, well, at the end of the year last year, and she said that the house will take 8 or 9 months to build and that I'll be impatient the whole time. And I'm like, both of those sound very true. She's like, but it will go well. You'll love the house. You'll be in it forever. It's a forever home. And I'm like, yes, that is the intention. She also said that Cinnamon Roll and I will have a very long, happy marriage. And I was like, yes, that is also the intention. And I'm thinking about doing a PhD program. So I found one through National University that I can do online. It takes about 4 years. And I'm like, cool, 4 years is going to pass anyway. I may as well get a doctorate. Like, that sounds super fun. So that's kind of the plans. And then the rest of the stuff is to just keep doing what I'm doing that's working. Going to the gym, hanging out with the animals, annoying sweet Cinnamon Roll forever. Yeah, so I would love to hear your word for the year if you have one and if you decide to get one. And again, it's just a fun exercise. And I would love to hear what some of your goals are. And specifically, if you've got some goals around healing, Exhale and Release is the place you want to be. I'm kind of jokingly saying like the one thing I could absolutely promise with certainty is that it won't make things worse and that it will make things better. So, so there you go. There's that promise. The most realistic promise I can offer you. It will not make things worse. It will make things better. It is a very cool program. You can find it at exhaleandrelease.com. There's 2 tracks. One is for first responders specifically, and one is for just a general healing track. If you are a first responder, you actually get both tracks. So that's pretty dope. But tell me your goals so I can celebrate with you, so I can see that intention and speak it for you. Okay, I hope you have a wonderful day.